What's going on, guys? This is Mike with the 1% Mindset Podcast. I hope you guys are doing absolutely amazing. This episode, I had to throw it back. I did an interview with a good friend of mine's, Mark Clennon, or Mark C. And at the time, he was getting ready to quit his job. So I did this interview about 2 years ago on a series I had back then called Mic'd Up. And he was getting ready to quit his job, to leave his job and become a photographer full time. And he speaks about a few things. Obviously, the nervousness of leaving his job, but he speaks about building community, right? Creating community around what he wanted. He speaks about some of his mantras, really brick by brick, right? Taking your time to build a solid foundation. And this interview was so profound. And, for those of you who are just listening in or just starting to really capture and listen to the 1% Mindset, this interview that I did will blow your mind. This man went from nothing in the photography space to shooting for Netflix, shooting for Target, shooting for big major brands, just going out there and grinding it out and trusting the process. So I want to introduce you guys to this interview that I did a few years back with my boy Mark Clennon, Mark C. If you're on Instagram, follow him at Mark MARK.C. Mark Clennon. So check him out, man. He's amazing. But really just listen to this interview, capture the gems, because there's a lot of gems in this. So do not miss it. Capture it. So without further ado, here we go. What's good, man? Nice. Appreciate you taking the time to do this. Episode 3 of Mic'd Up. But I just wanted to be pretty chilled. And the reason being is because we know each other, which is a beautiful
yes, we go way back. Blazer gang.
So I'm familiar with your process, right? The where you started and where you are now, right, which is cool. So you've separated yourself in the photography game, or what I like to think of, in a world that everyone does photography now. And like I say, everyone does photography. You've been able to separate yourself. Yeah. But before we even get into photography, I kind of want to go. Let's start from the beginning. Yeah. You came to New York with a hope and a dream. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I graduated University of South Florida. Go Bulls. Spent a year in Sarasota working on internet advertising. And that opportunity, my friend was like, "Hey, I'm moving to New York. I got this apartment. I got this job. I need a roommate. You trying to slide to New York?" So I said, "Yeah." So I quit my job in Sarasota, Florida, and moved up here, with a dream, fresh out of college, just thinking I can try to make something happen. And eventually I got a job at a large internet company, and I've been working with them for a number of years. But I'm a very creative person, so I was always looking for a creative outlet. So I started a website called urbanfresh.com. And I just moved to the city. We were always trying to figure out what the move was. So I'm like, I'll just aggregate everything on this site and build a lifestyle brand with the site. And so that was kind of my first creative project, where I realized, maybe this can also work doing stuff on the side as well as my main job. Yeah.
How'd you come up with the name?
I went through a few different names. I went through NY Fresh Life, blah blah blah. But I think it was inspired by Urban Daddy, and I was like, Urban Daddy, that sounds cool. But I wanted a combination of being smart, witty, and urban. So I like the word urban. So Urban Fresh, and I went to go buy the domain, and urban with the A was $2,500, but if I took the one of the vowels out of urban, URBN, $9. So that's how it was born, and I kind of went from there.
Okay, so Urban Fresh was a way for young millennials, urban millennials typically, to find what was going on in the city.
Right.
Then you kind of transitioned. You did the website. Then you transitioned to photography. How did that happen?
Well, it's a lot of work putting together content. I had a few different writers for the site and just come up with ideas, and I realized I'm not really into writing that much. I'm a very visual person. The site went through a number of redesigns, and it became more and more photo heavy. And that was the first inkling that I knew that the internet, how it looks now, is really going to be driven by video and images. So that kernel was kind of planted, and a friend of mine was carrying around his camera, so I just brought out my camera, which I had for more than a year. I'm probably taking 15 photos on it and put it down and gave up. So I picked up the camera as an outlet because I felt like I needed to pivot and use some of the things I applied because I knew like the site was just taking too much work. I didn't love it that much. And so then I just picked up the camera and just started shooting every day. Like every day. Everywhere I went with the camera, I would take pictures of buildings, take pictures of dogs, people. And it kind of grew and grew and grew, and I had like different opportunities arise from that. Yeah.
Okay. In case you guys didn't know, he may not tell you, the Mark that you know now, I was one of his first shoots that I did. I was one of the first shoots. And the reason why I knew it was dope is because I think, I put one of those pictures, I think I got like 100-something likes on Facebook.
Yeah. It's lit.
This is official.
Yeah.
I'm also going to put him out there. I actually did one about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm still waiting for it. But he's big time now.
I got the photos. I forgot.
So I gotta wait for it.
Yeah. It's going to take a little longer nowadays.
Yeah, it's going to take a little, it's cool. It's definitely worth it. But okay, so you made that transition. You started taking photos. Now, again, like I said, we're in a world now where everyone's photographers. Everyone's trying to stand out. In order for people to build a portfolio, they do a lot of free stuff. How were you able to stand out, get into some of the publications that you were in? You can say some of the publications that you're in. How did you build these relationships to get into these places?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of relationships I just built by being in the city. I feel like a lot of people consider me a friend and the homie, or they see my face around, and they saw me carrying around the camera when I was just starting, and now that I've gotten better, they're like, oh, you're really doing well. And I feel like the minute that I started taking myself seriously is when everybody else started taking me seriously in terms of photography. So I've been able to work for Pepsi, or work on projects with Pepsi, Travel Noir, Essence, Ebony, Jet. The list goes on. I don't even know off the top of my head. And I think that I was able to do a few different things to kind of accelerate my growth. I mean, when I first started, it was me and a couple friends just trying to figure out how to use a camera. And so we started a group me. There was just like 4 or 5 of us in there, and we started inviting more and more photographers as we met them, and we kind of built a community around ourselves. So like I built a community around me, and like when you build a community around yourself, you kind of become the mayor of that community. And it also opens you up to a lot of connections. And now everybody can say, oh yeah, I know Mark, he's a photographer. Or I'm a photographer myself, but if I can't do the job, I can refer you to Mark because I know him, and we do it like that. So then I started throwing like small events, like photo walks, where everybody just meet up. I think the first photo walk, you were there. Yeah, I was there. It was probably like 25 people walking around taking pictures, and the next one, it grew from there. We probably had about 300 people. Oh, wow. And then I did a gallery with a sponsorship with Peerspace. Shout out to...
I don't want you to kind of gloss over that, because I was actually at that gallery as well.
Yeah.
Again, that's my boy. I show love.
Yeah.
I'm not into photography, but I definitely show love. But so talk to me a little bit about this gallery, because again, you kind of glossed over it. It wasn't that serious. But there was well over 400 people at this event, and you had a collaboration with, you said
Peerspace.
Now, for people who don't know what Peerspace is or who Peerspace is.
You can think of Peerspace as Airbnb by the hour for creative spaces and workplace spaces, right? So, I was getting a lot of attention on Instagram. I was getting a lot of attention for some of the work I've been posting. And they reached out to me because I did a shoot in a Peerspace and they liked my work. And I actually hadn't released it. And they're like, oh, we like your work. We see you booked in a Peerspace. So they just sent my email and they said, they'd like to see the photos for a feature. So I showed them the photos, they loved them, they did a write-up on me, and then in between the time where I did the interview and the time that they posted the write-up, I was coming up with ideas like, this is an opportunity for me to collaborate with them, so the next time I'm on the phone with them, I have a fully fleshed out idea. So the idea was to bring 10 different photographers of color around the city together, and each of us was shooting a different Peerspace and present the work we did at a gallery hosted by Peerspace. And I put together the deck, I consulted with a lot of folks, and next time I hopped on the phone with them about the interview, I was like, hey, by the way, I have an idea on a way we can collaborate. So I pitched it to them, I pitched it again, I talked to their vice president, pitched them again, and they said, they said they'll pay for it, they'll pay for the printing, they'll pay for the mounting, they'll pay for the spaces for 10 photographers, which was exciting. And then that process began of finding photographers, organizing that, making sure everybody's printed and mounted, and then promoting it. And And because I already had a community of people that knew my work and trusted me, and I'm not really selling them super hard to come, like there was really no promotion. We sold out in a day. And before I even posted it on my Instagram, before I even put it anywhere. So it was really exciting to see. Yeah.
How has a few things you mentioned, being the mayor of the community, organizing. How do you think doing photography has helped with your leadership skills, helped with communication, with higher level, like you said, the vice president, Pierce Place? How has your overall growth been affected by photography?
I think photography in a creative way has helped me grow, but all the things that I learned working in my corporate job have taught me how to be a great photographer, because so much of it is just who you know. There are tons of amazing photographers that never get any coverage or never get any recognition because they just don't know the right people, right? Who's to say one photographer is better than another? It's art, it's subjective, right? So it's all about selling yourself and selling your work and building relationships, and that's kind of how you can excel in the photography space. But I learned that just by being in New York and working a full-time job. I know how to draft an email properly. I know which questions to ask because I work as an account manager. I manage each one of my clients like I do as an account executive at the current company I'm at. So it's helped me realize that, wow, I actually have picked up a lot of skills that are transferable in what I do now. So anytime I go into a new venture, I think about what I already know and say, how can I use what I know already to apply to this new venture? And I think that a lot of people miss that. So I read Outliers, and it kind of explains like, what are your advantages? What are the positions that you're in that are unique to you, and how can you use that? I'm like, I'm in this 9-to-5 job. I'm in a great city with a lot of connections, and I attend a lot of events. So how can I leverage the people I know in my networks to help me excel in this new project? So it's just about thinking about your own specific situation and figuring out what's unique to you that you can provide and apply other places.
How have you used, like you said, you built a great network, being in New York, obviously has helped that, going to a lot of different events. I'm brand new to the city, same like you, $1 in a dream.
Yeah.
I have a camera in my hand. What's advice? Give me some advice that you'll give me, being brand new to the city or really trying to start up to have success, because again, you blew up, right? And I mean, again, you downplay it, but you have almost 13,000 followers on Instagram. You have pull, right? You've been in publications, you've gotten shout outs, you've done a ton of interviews, different blogs, sites that you've been on. Like, what's that maybe one or two things that you can really attribute to that success? Because again, it's not easy to bring it to garnering 13,000 followers. People have to decide, like, this is Mark, this is the work that he's done, like, I want to follow him. Right. So what's that advice you can kind of give me?
Well, a lot of that's happened because I had such amazing opportunities, and I'm perceived as a well-established photographer, even though I'm fairly new to the photography space. But I've been able to, have certain placements in certain publications that have helped me market myself, and like, I'm a natural marketer. But I think the key is just one of my mantras. I have many mantras, but one of my mantras is stay in motion. Like, stay moving, like, keep moving forward. So if I'm a brand new person, brand new to New York, brand new to whatever city I'm in, and I'm a photographer or a writer or anything, if you're a photographer, take photos, carry your camera, do projects, shoots every single weekend. When I tell you I was shooting every single day, I mean it, Monday through Sunday, all day a lot of times. Every week. I haven't seen you on a weekend in a very long time because Michael hit me up. What you doing? I have 3 shoots today. Whether it's free or paid, I'm always trying to stay in motion, always try to stay creatively engaged and make sure that I'm in motion. So when people always see you in motion, they start to take you seriously, and opportunities will fall out because you fall into place because you're meeting a lot of different people. I meet a ton of different stylists who work with other photographers, who work with, other stylists, makeup artists. So the network kind of is exponential, right? If I'm working on one project with a makeup artist and a stylist, they know other stylists, they know other makeup artists. So if they have a project, they're looking for a photographer, boom, they see me tagged in a stylist's page, and they find a photographer, and vice versa. So like being able to be found by collaborating with a lot of people. I know photography a lot of times for people is a very lone wolf endeavor, which it is, you know, for the most part. But if you can find ways to be collaborative, you'll build your network much quicker. And opportunities will arise because you're meeting more people because you're being active. If I could watch 1 million YouTube videos on techniques at home on how to be a great photographer, and I won't meet a damn person because I'm at home. So I'm just making sure to be active and, you know, making sure I'm asking, like, hey, you know, I'm a photographer. If you need photos, just let me know. I always end every conversation with that, right? So just in case you know. So that's kind of the way, if you want to start out anything, just consistently. Consistency, working like every day. Another one of my mantras, brick by brick. Like I literally say that to myself every day, brick by brick, lay the foundation. If I didn't do a shoot today, I'm doing an edit today. If I didn't meet up with somebody to talk about photography or some kind of other project, I'm doing something else. So I want to make sure to always stay active.
That's excellent. Last question, I don't want to hold you up.
No, I'm here all day, man.
When did you start taking yourself serious? I'm guessing, you know, when you did photography the first time, it was for fun. Like you said, you did it, you put it down. When did it click for you? Like, you know, I'm gonna take this seriously. I have a gift. I have a talent. Like, when did all of that come into place?
I think that it came into place when I realized how easy it was for me. There's certain things that you realize, wow, everything I've learned up to this point, every project that I worked on, whether it was like doing web development stuff, whether it was doing graphic design in college, whether it was doing, you know, my 9-to-5 job, I feel like everything that I've ever done pours into this one thing. All my best attributes tie into this photography. So when I realized that, wow, I'm using every tool that I've, you know, picked up along the way, maybe it's time for me to really give this a real shot and a real effort, because I've never been wiser than I am at this moment, and I'll never be younger than I am right now, right? So like, what better time than right now, you know? So I started taking myself seriously, and when I started taking myself seriously, the people around me started taking me seriously, and they feel very comfortable referring me now. Because it's like, if you have two friends, one you know really, really well, that kind of, you know, takes pictures a little bit here and there, or somebody you might not know as well that you see is taking photos and working hard on his craft and producing, and somebody asks you, hey, I need a photographer with this very important project. Don't let me down. I want to go to the person that I might not know as well, but I know is always actively going hard, where other than my good friend that may not be taking it as serious. So like, make sure you're taking yourself seriously, and people will see that. You don't have to say, my name is Mark and I'm taking photography seriously. They'll see it. Like, you don't have to talk. They do it. So
what next? And let me preface my comments by saying, you know, you're in a good space in this photography. How do you build on what you have? What are you looking to accomplish, you know, over the next few years? And this is not even like an interview style question, right? You know, like, hey, what do you? No, it's not. But more so, you know, you're in a space now where you can stay stagnant or, you know, have massive growth with what you've done so far. So what's the plan? What's the strategy? What are you looking to accomplish now over the next few months, few years?
Scarier projects that scare me, that seem too big to stretch my growth. I want to travel internationally to take photos. I want to work with some of my favorite artists in a creative capacity. I'm talking Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar. Like, I want to work with them in some capacity, collaborate with them. And I want to be financially able to do what I want to do while doing what I love. So that's my goal in the next 5 years, to be as mobile and nimble and really be able to take control of my life and have the final say so, and not have to wait on external forces, where I really just grab my own life and guide it the way I want it to go. So,
how do you plan on doing that?
Remaining consistent, like continuing to have the same hunger that I had when I was just starting, continuing to realize that, it's somebody else doing a fire photo shoot right now. right? And getting better right now. I see as more gigs come in, as I'm working with more clients, I find that I'm doing a lot of more repetitive things, and I see a lot of established photographers kind of plateau because they're inundated with work and they have to do work for the client. But I want to make sure I can also do that work as well as keep that same fire of creativity to push my boundaries and push myself to continue to carve a lane for myself as a unique photographer, because it is a very saturated market. I think photography is a beautiful thing. Our phones are getting better and better, and I have no problem with everybody exploring their creativity. But that also means if I'm in this as a profession, I need to be relentless about getting better constantly.
Yeah, no, that's huge, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, I definitely appreciate it. It really opens up lanes. Like I always say, everyone's a photographer now.
Everybody.
Literally. So the fact that you've been able to really stand out and create and be in different national publications and produce, it shows the hard work and the level of dedication that you have and that you need ultimately to have success in not just photography but just anything.
Yeah.
A relentless plug lining.
Yeah.
Relentless attitude to get better, to do better. So, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time. For those photographers that are listening in, definitely look out for this as usual, man. Gems, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
man.
appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah.